Time for the Tesla and Palantir weekly update. So, going to start off with Tesla here, and it was not the best looking weekly candle close. So, what I mean by that is on linear scale, it did not close above this 786 Fibonacci, the 347, and it also did not close above this baseline here, which is basically around 345.56. So it closed below both important support levels. Not only that, if you just put on the Bollinger Band with the 20-week moving average too, it also closed below that as well. So what is this really implying for Tesla? Well, I think it's just implying that it's going to be taking a lot more time than we thought, unless there can be a quick recovery in the weeks to come back above those important levels. So maybe this could just be a liquidity grab, and perhaps the following week could close back above the 347 and so on. And if we go to the log scale as well, it also closed below the 353 and the 353.19. So does this mean that it's likely to continue lower? Well, it is a potential, it is a possibility. And one thing I wanted to point out to you is this confluence of a previous resistance right here uh, and possibly a back test of support right there. So maybe that's going to be the target now, right? We have to do one level at a time, right? And since we do one level at a time, now that we have confirmation that the 786 was broken as support for the first time since it broke out, now it's okay to assume lower. Do you understand how that works, right? Before it was holding support, so I don't assume lower until there's confirmation. But now there is confirmation that this could go lower because this weekly candle close just confirmed that. So now I can say, okay, perhaps the 702, but that's just a halfway point between the 618 and the 786. And there is a lot of other confluence of support around that 295 right here. And that 295 could be the target because it was a previous resistance breakout and a backtest to flip to support. So possibly this now could be your new max pain scenario. But one thing I wanted to show you is like an order block right here, and there is a lot of demand right here, this green order block. So it is approaching that really soon, right? It did approach that last week, and it held. Almost got down to it this week, but didn't really do anything. So perhaps it wants to go a little bit deeper into that order block, and it could hold, right? So that could be the 321. So this could save the 321 could save us from going down lower. We still did not make a lower low from last week, so that is potentially a good thing as well. That maybe this is just a liquidity grab, and perhaps the following week can just shoot back up and close back above levels and go higher, right? That would be best case scenario. But we do have a confirmation right here that we do have to pay attention to, that perhaps price does want to go a little bit lower. So now I can see a reason now of going back down to 295. So we have to put that on the table, but it won't get there if it can stay within this order block here around that 321. So that's going to be my main focus for next week, to see if that can actually hold and actually if price can get back above some of this resistance here. So with that said, do prepare for lower, but it's not guaranteed to go here just yet, because there is a big order block in this zone. Basically, the price zone could be 333 all the way down to 309. That could be the order block right there that could stop it from getting to the 295. So we won't assume completely it's going to go there just yet, but you need to put it in the back of your mind that it becomes possible because of how this weekly candle closed. And now time to bring back this angles chart. If you guys ever remember from a while ago where I said maybe we're going to stop using it because it broke out above it, right? But I'm bringing it back just for today, just to show you one thing that has a little bit of confluence of support kind of at current price. And it's these downward sloping angles. So I want to show you the trend, right? Every downward sloping angle has been a point of support and resistance in the past, right? This blue one especially was a resistance, 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 and then a support. And then we have this green one, which was a temporary resistance, a huge breakout. But now we're just back testing this 45-degree angle, right? This is the 45-degree angle sloping down right here, guys. And this is something interesting to pay attention to because it's backtesting it right now. So this is the 45-degree angle sloping up where it kind of got rejected after it broke below, but it saved it with this 45-degree angle going down. So I know I mentioned 295 to pay attention to that, to put it in the back of your mind because it becomes possible. But at the same time, this 45-degree angle is still holding that support. So next week, that kind of sits around like 333, which is actually at the top of that order, that buy order block that I mentioned before. So you got to pay attention to that, right? So we'll see, right? Maybe we don't need to go lower. Maybe this is all just one big fake out, and perhaps next week can go back above those resistance levels and flip them back to support like the 786. So I just wanted to point this out, that it's not all doom and gloom, because there is a chance of this current zone holding just because of the symmetrical support here. And I just wanted to point that out, that perhaps this could just be one giant fake out of closing below levels just to make people panic, when in fact they could just easily close back above levels in the following weeks and then go higher. So it's not really too concerning, but I just wanted to mention that be prepared for lower just in case, because we did get a confirmation candle, right? Going back to this screen right here, not this one, this screen right here, it's our confirmation candle. Closing below a weekly support level is a confirmation that price can go lower. So we need to prepare for it, and possibly even prepare for that 295. But with this symmetrical support that I'm showing you right here, it is possible for current levels to support, because it also aligns with that 333 buy order block right here, right? That 333, it's at that very top of that buy order block. So it is potential, it does have potential to hold, and could just be a fake out and then next week close back above levels. So let's prepare for the worst, but hope for the best, and get back above levels next week. Let's see. But just want to show you that it's not all doom and gloom out there. Even if it does go back to the low 300s or high 290s, it doesn't really make a difference with the chart, to be honest, because when you put on the Ichimoku cloud here, let me just put on the Ichimoku cloud real quick. Right here, it's still well above the cloud, right? Well above the cloud. And I think no matter what it's doing, no matter how deep it goes, all it's doing is buying enough time to get closer to the cloud to make its next leg higher. So if you're playing cycles like I am, right, you want to make sure to not panic in this zone, no matter how deep it goes, because this is still a very bullish chart for the future. And I have very strong conviction that it's going to go to the fib extensions above, the 400s, the 500s, and the thousands above. So this still changes nothing for the high time frame. I just want to let you know that this confirmation candle proves that it can go lower, but it's not guaranteed. And next is Palantir here. So Palantir, what do we see with this one? Well, it did lose linear scale support of the 108. And so now the focus is this 94.71. We don't really need to use log scale right now because it also closed the week back below this 104.21. So we're going to focus on two things. One of them is this conversion line down here at 94.41, and the other is the 2.272 at 94.71, and that is basically, essentially the same price. So if you're looking for a support zone for Palantir, I think 94 is it, right? So it did wick down quite a bit this week. It did have a nice bearish engulfing candle, down 15% almost, but it's not over, right? It's not over at all. It's just a simple back test based off of fear narratives out there, and it's no big deal, right? It happens all the time. It's a huge exponential move higher, and now it's just back testing levels, which is normal, right? So a huge up, just a little bit down, maybe a little bit more to go, right? It's at 100 post market now, but 94.71 I think could be the target that it's really aiming for. Perhaps a wick below there in the low 90s just to get that extra liquidity, and then potentially has power to hold. So this is going to be the focus for me going into next week, the 94.71. And also going to the log scale again right here, I wanted to show you that it was a clear rejection off this angle, which I was saying to be cautious the whole time of, because every time it pressed up against it, it had a chance to just drop. And sure enough, that did just drop. So we are going to pay attention to this in the future. Every time it comes back up to that angle, it could be some resistance, but not sure if it ever will, right? What Palantir could do is just start to maybe go down a little bit more and drift sideways for a little bit and never touch that angle ever again. And that's what happens sometimes too. And then maybe you might just gravitate to this angle over time where it was a massive support. And then by that time, it'll go higher. So nothing is damaged with this chart. $94 is the target to watch currently. If that ever were to break, then this arc down here would become the target to pay attention to. And that is kind of in the 80s, right? So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But in the meantime, all I'm going to do is focus on that 94 as support because the conversion line and the 2.272 fib extension. And if that can hold, then Palantir can recover nicely.